It's time. At everybody. At everyone. Yes. Congratulations to Katie Ledecky, and congratulations to our world record holder for not meddling. Yeah. That's what life's all about. Maybe we can put the... We get copyright strike if we put the Olympics on in the corner. Yeah.
With you.
Yeah. He did it well. Just 0.23 away.
Yeah. Please understand. Like you do.
Muted this entire time. Oh my god. I've been muted in OBS this whole time. Fuck's sake. All right.
Welcome, everyone.
Nobody missed much. I just talked about the Olympics. It's fine.
Yeah. It's all fun and games. Yeah, interesting for sight reading this pool because I'm interested to see what will happen on DT4. That map is there's a couple different things you can break on if you're sight reading that.
This entire pool is like, I would not recommend that people sight read this. I guess is the easiest way to put it.
I wouldn't recommend sight reading in general.
Yeah, typically like don't sight read pools, you guys. It's just not recommended. I don't know. This pool is like super techy, but people were talking in map pool feedback about how it's like all aim, but I kind of just feel like it's all tech actually. There's like 6 tech maps in this. I don't know why they're complaining about it being all aim.
There's I guess there's some aim tech in some of them, but
does chunk count as aim?
I'd say it does.
It's like tech aim.
It's tech aim. It's yeah.
All right, somebody failed. Oh wait, is Texas skipping their warm up? Maybe. I guess Texas might be skipping their warm up. Also, I need to put in the right MP in chat, so let me go get that real quick.
Let's grab
edit com MP. Control V enter. There you go. Now there's the MP. All right, so
Anya with a 98 roll, so Texas wins the roll.
Yeah, they won by. Wait, what did Conrad even roll? Oh, Vertex. I mean, he rolled at 29. I mean, it's not bad, but not good enough.
It's not bad.
So Texas, yeah. So Texas will have first ban and second pick. This pool is a pool. I don't know what to expect. Obviously, with this being the first match, like I don't know what to expect people to be picking and banning all as of yet.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at that point in the tournament where you start to see like skill cap teams. So you start to see people picking like their strengths just exclusively instead of being like, oh, we're gonna pick whatever they're bad at because they're a low seed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be different for I think matches like this, especially compared to the winners bracket and losers bracket. The picking strategies are going to be very diverse compared to the teams who, quite frankly, are still probably going to be putting up 2 to 3 FCs on some maps in these pools, and then you know, a couple of the teams I think in the losers bracket are going to be, you know, struggling for those like singular FCs on a lot of stuff. So I think you know, the strategy of maybe picking into your strengths versus picking into the other team's weaknesses and vice versa, depending on how strong the opposing team is, I guess. So when you're in a match like this where I think the teams are fairly evenly matched under normal circumstances, it could be beneficial to pick into your strengths, especially for Texas.
Yeah, hidden one. So they're saying Washington likes the no approach circles modification.
I agree. Verderix is a hidden one player. It's a Hard Rock one ban from Washington. Makes sense. Asymmetry, 4-minute long Hard Rock aim map with some streams and such. Basically stuff that Texas is just got players for that I don't think Washington really does.
Yeah, and especially with missing Weeable, that's like their skill cap player for Washington. Like, he's by far the best player on that team. So some of the stuff, like, I think Hard Rock 1 you ban, and then I don't know what their second ban would have to be, like, presumably another like skill cap type of map. I just don't know if it's going to be like a speed skill cap or like an aim skill cap type of thing.
Yeah,
Oh, double hidden ban from Texas.
thank you for banning the Raikkonen map.
Yo, wait,
God,
that song is so good though.
it's a great
Here I am
song.
once again.
Listen,
I'm
all right,
torn into pieces.
I'm gonna voice my very strong opinions on the Hidden 2 this week. One, it is only aim. Aim is the only part of that map that exists in the slightest. It's AR8, and that means literally not a single thing because it's all linear jumps. Two, Raikkonen, could you please use any MP3 that is higher than like 16-bit audio quality for Kelly Clarkson?
I think
show some respect.
I feel like that's kind of the point of that map, though, is that the quality
Show
of the MP3 is so low.
Show some respect to Kelly Clarkson. Come on, man.
Put some respect on her name, or she will.
Put some respect.
I don't know what. Those hazel eyes will just stare lasers into your heart.
Ah, God, Polish people. I didn't say that. Wait a second. Polish mappers.
I was gonna say.
SMH.
Wait a minute.
Polish mappers.
You know, you
Sorry.
ever notice how like it's not okay to make fun of races except for France? Why is it okay to make fun of French people, but it's not okay to make fun of anybody else?
I think it's okay to make fun of Poland. Poland is fun. I think the Polish people make fun of themselves more often.
I
than
think you
not
can
being
like
criticized.
make fun of how much they drink and stuff, I suppose. All right.
I think Bartek can back me up.
So
Sure.
I changed my resolution in the client. So I am hoping that the quality is slightly better because it's a slightly higher resolution now. It also should fit the window better, so there's not. I need you to check DMs. Don't tell T1G. I'm literally looking at you saying
Thank
this,
you.
brother. Wait, I'm gonna go into the referee channel and be like, at K, tell me. She's going to tell me. It is unlucky.
All right. So the men's 50 free is about to start, I believe. So that's gonna be going on at the same.
Well, hopefully, maybe it'll be in between the maps, right? Like maybe this map will be the right length that by the time they're starting, it's
Maybe.
right.
The men's 50 free is always so funny. You travel all the way to Japan and train all year for 30 seconds or less.
I mean, to be fair, I think most of the guys, well, a bunch of the guys probably swim multiple events besides just the 50 free. But yeah, it is like all this training, all this effort, and it's for fucking one length of the pool. All right, thanks guys. See you in 4 years.
Seriously, well, my job here is done. Here comes Chonk.
Here comes Chonk. Yo, throwback to Course Ace. Let's go. It is
the best map.
This map is it's chonky. I don't know. It's Diff like really describes it well.
Well,
also
Washington's playing it well.
I will never see this map without thinking of intercamping.
Yeah, that is true.
Intercamping just popped up every time they played this because I think they played it in all 3 sets of whatever match he was in.
They did.
Banjo.
Big Banjo moment.
Banjo.
Warpscon, Kanyo, and Wins are the 3 to break right now, so it's just Abraham R.
There's a surprise. Abraham versus Conrad and Verda. Conrad, we remember, had a really good match last week. In their actually, he played well in both their matches. I think it was their second match that he played like just insane. He carried that team. Was one of the very few FCs we saw on Hidden One, for example.
Yeah.
But he and Verda, this is like I think what Washington can try to do strategically here is pick like. Well, this is the only hidden pick they'll get, but pick kind of tech and that sort of skill set. Oh, it's about to start. No. Okay, I can. I don't think my client is gonna lag if I have the NBC stream open at the same time. So I think I should be okay.
Surely not. Well, I don't. This should be interesting though. I mean, Washington always has had a traditionally strong team. We mentioned that missing Weeable is not very good for them, but at the same time, Washington really holds their own with the roster that they are able to put up. I mean, they took Massachusetts out last year, who are currently in winners bracket semis this year, so they are a very strong team, and Conrad is kind of just going for it right now. 97% accuracy, besting Wins is the next closest.
Also, I just realized this is actually a semifinal, so it's not like the medal round. When is the medal round? Yeah, 21.53 seconds. The winning time. World record is 20.91. Okay, Washington full reset, but so did Texas brief moment ago, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, Conrad with a break to trade Wins there, of course, so it's going to be lead Washington maintaining for now, with Kanyo finding a break especially. Oh, and Abraham, yeah, so there goes Texas. But Washington has kind of been in a leading position for the entirety of this map. Verda and Conrad are just far more comfortable than it looks most other people are on this map, with the exception of Wins. A lot of breaks here at the ending.
Yeah, this was just Washington like taking the big combo lead to start off the map and holding on to it, which I think is the strat on this, because it doesn't ever get easier. You know, this is a very consistently difficult map, so...
Yeah.
If you can just figure, hey, we're going to have 2 like 600, 700, 800 combos, that's probably going to do pretty well against most teams, especially in the losers bracket. And it did exactly that. It was actually a really good score from Conrad. 500k is very solid on this. Also, best accuracy by like over 1%. So good stuff from Team Washington, and they start off with a nice 200k victory on the first map of this losers bracket match.
Strong start. Verderix with the singular miss on that map, and Conrad with the very large beginning combo with the best accuracy, aside from Abraham, of course. And, you know, Wins was really the only one on Texas able to put up a competing score with the Washington team there. Warpscon kind of getting stuck in as that third player for Washington with Weeable gone.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that probably that third player, like on a lot of these picks, would have been Weeable and will not be now, so it's going to make things a little tricky for them pick-wise. But
especially with Nomad 2.
Yeah, Nomad 2. This is, I think, the Texas... I mean, we saw it, the Texas strat last week, even into Virginia, was to pick heavily into the sort of tapping mechanics stuff, whether it was Nomad 2, Nomad 5, DT3, that sort of stuff, which obviously doesn't work against Virginia, because Virginia is just too good for that. But Washington, especially without Weeable, is going to probably have a rough time of things on these types of picks. So I think this is a really good way to go if you are the Texas team.
Yeah, this is just a smart pick from Texas for all the reasons that you mentioned, especially, you know, with Washington's top 2 players, Verta and Conrad, not being the strongest left-hand players, especially on a semifinals level Nomad 2. It's 192 BPM, which is fairly standard for a semifinals Nomad 2, but when you couple that with the way that Knowledge King mapped this, requiring a lot of focus when it comes to stream velocity and some of the spacing on this map will catch even the best of stream players with subsections, especially this 1/3 section that it goes through as well.
Now, this is not a simple map. I mean, we sort of talk about the the tuning knobs, as it were, for Nomad 2's, you know, being kind of the flow aim requirement and spacing and the BPM and the stream lengths. And this one just kind of turns up a little bit on that aim requirement as well as the spacing. So, gonna be tricky, even if the BPM isn't that high. It's also very short. What is this, just about 2 minutes long, ever so slightly under 2 minutes. Also, when did every single Nomad 2 become a Knowledge King map? Like, he just became the Nomad 2 mapper.
It's just really good at it. Knowledge King is like Skyflame Nomad of Nomad 2. It's just the time. Well, final rosters in Jacob 3, Dolphshing and Warpscon versus Abraham Cuckweezy and No Bully. No Bully was having a little bit of a rough time for Texas last week. I think he was letting his nerves get the best of him a little bit on a couple of picks, namely the Nomad 2 even against Virginia. So hopefully confidence running a little bit more high against Washington, a team that is maybe slightly less scary right off the bat on a Nomad 2, especially, you know, you're running with Abraham R as well, who had an amazing score.
You can put a lot of trust in Abraham as like any of his teammates, and I think that's helpful when you know you're against a team that's not the strongest on Nomad 2s, and especially on a map like this, which has just some, like you said, like kind of awkward spacing and patterning, but you do see a break from Cuckweezy, so and New Bully as well. Bully goes to Washington. They'll be able to pull this one back here if they can hold through this. Actually, Abraham breaking as well. Yikes. Whoa. That is not good if you're Texas, because this is not a long map. There go Jacob and Warpscon. It is all Dolphshing, and he's gone too. This is going to become very close coming into the last half.
All right, this is the long stream right now. Dolphshing has completely lost all track of that stream, unfortunately, and Texas really just has this on the fact that they were able to maintain at least something on Cuckweezy, Abraham, and No Bully in terms of accuracy right now. It's just that, you know, this map is very difficult, and we mentioned the velocity of these streams and the way that they're shaped with the spacing is difficult, and it catches even the best of stream players because it's not just a left-hand Nomad 2 like most other weeks have been. This requires a lot of aim, so, you know, you hit sections like that where Cuckweezy just breaks on a 1/3 right there. It's just the being comfortable at streams is so helpful when you can note lock.
Yeah, we watched this in 3WC, if memory serves, where you had people doing exactly what these players are doing, where you can just fall off of these streams very, very easily. You can have a rough go of things because of that spacing and those slightly changing rhythmic aspects to it, and that was just Texas getting a lead and Washington having a very rough time, and kind of a free point. 500K is a pretty massive lead when you only put up 1.4 million to begin with. So Texas is going to feel good about that one, and that's going to lead them forward as well through this match. I think they'll be feeling confident in this sort of skill set where it's going to be more tapping, super, super favored to their side.
Looking good on Texas for their first pick there. No Bully bringing up the top score for Team Texas, so getting rid of a couple of those nerves that we saw last week, kind of coming into his own in the match against Washington here. Texas knows that they need to step up in this match now. They're in the losers bracket. This is a one loss and you're out type deal now. There is no more safety of the winners bracket to keep them feeling a little bit comfortable. So the stakes are higher right now. So being able to maintain that nerve and use your mechanics ability, especially against a team like Washington, is something you have to take advantage of. But Washington still has plenty of gimmick maps left in this pool. Dada really didn't pull the punches this week when it came to the gimmick maps, so there's a lot for Washington to choose
and it's
from.
Nomad 6, just as you'd expect.
Yeah.
One of those many gimmicky type of maps. It's very rhythm focused, a lot of changing rhythms in this one. So that's exactly the direction that Washington is going to head, as we would expect.
Well, Washington picking... I personally just do not like this map, but this is a great map for Washington against Texas, who is not particularly strong on tech. I think Texas has a decent roster for certain things like reading. I think they banned it purely because Washington is just slightly more consistent on it, but when you have players like Wins who are good at certain types of maps like tech, Abraham are not normally known for his ability to play the weird, gimmicky, like aim control, finger control, mixed, dense stuff, but we do have Raul actually as a third, so Texas is not out of this with this roster here, but Washington, based on what we've seen in previous matches and even in their first pick here, is going to have a decent advantage on paper.
Yeah, you expect Washington to do much like what they did on the Hidden 3 pick, where they, put in a roster that's going to have very solid combos on everyone and just kind of try to cling to whatever lead they can establish. I don't know. Historically, I've always just thought of Texas as like a mechanics favored team, and that's been on a very different roster in the past, where they've had like Apraxia, Minwoo, Pizza Lovers, Slime Drippy, who was like their speed specialist, etc., etc. So that it's hard to change that kind of perception of them, and I'm curious to see how they continue to perform in this match against a team that's going to be picking against like anti-mechanics,
Yeah, well, Verta gets caught. Oh, everyone gets caught on that back and forth slider.
You would think if you've practiced, you would know that's coming, but maybe it's hard to hit even if you know it's there.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, this is a Taku map after all, so there's some wacky stuff in this. But Washington's actually going to be a little bit down on score, given that Verta had a slider break early, but the double break from Texas.
That's not going to help Texas. Yeah, that's
not at all.
These patterns are so... Oh, this double break from Washington. It is Verta versus Raul, almost identical, so it's combo advantage Texas, but it's so slight, and the accuracy is like not great for anyone, so it's really just going to come down to combo on these awkward patterns. Verta does break on the triangle, so does Raul, but Verta chain miss, dropped some score, dropped a lot of accuracy. For now, though, this is just going to stay really close because everybody's having so much trouble.
Yeah, Verta and Raul are the ones finding a couple breaks right here. Verta's accuracy is not doing him any favors, but Abraham and Warpscon trade, so it's Conrad versus Wins right now. Conrad with the accuracy lead. It's going to stay on the side of Texas just because of the 100 combo, but Wins does break, so it's going to go back over to Washington with Conrad now.
And they get like just the smallest amount of free combo there, so that's going to help him just a bit. But we get kind of right back into things again. These sliders can be very tricky to hold down. All players build up the combo.
Doable.
Dude, Conrad has been playing so well. He comes in for a lot of non-mechanic stuff and just goes to town. That man is able to combo through patterns that everybody else has a lot of trouble on. That's carrying Washington here into this ending. That was all Conrad, man. 45K next best on his team, not even 300,000, and they win by 100K. Remarkably good play from him. Best in the lobby by 100. Best in the lobby by 150K. S rank. I mean, that is a ridiculous play compared to everyone else out there.
Conrad, the only one that was super comfortable on that map right there. 2 single misses from Team Texas, but the accuracy not helping them out too much. Warpscon and Verta weren't super comfortable on that either, but, in some of these matches where you don't really have those ridiculously high skill cap players, having that one person who's just really good at this map can win it for a team. And fortunately for Washington, they had that one player that was able to put up a really good score and get them with a second point on the board, so no break points to start off this match. Texas has plenty of mechanics to pick from. Washington still has plenty of gimmick to pick from. This match is going to continue for a decent while here.
Yeah, with how very separate these two teams' skill sets are, I'm just expecting very few breakpoint opportunities for anyone. And Texas going into DT1, so we're going to get Mloda Krev, which is, 264 BPM AR 10.3. Very aim heavy with a few bursts as well. Like, that's just Texas saying, we're going to roll with this mechanics advantage that we feel like we have and that we've shown on our first pick.
Well, Picking a speedy map or the speed map, I'd say it is the highest BPM DT in the pool against Washington is a smart move. I know some people have a couple of jokes about some players on Washington's speed, but they can definitely hold their own on something like this. But I think that big aim and the way that this map is played out gives a massive advantage to players like Kakweezy, who are just so good at this, 10.3 speed.
Yep, and there's just like not anybody in for Washington who's known for that skill set at all. They'll do the best they can, of course, but not having Weeable here is such a huge detriment for the Washington side.
Yeah, we'll see how the map plays out, but if this ends up being really close between these two teams and Washington somehow, if Washington loses this, then you do have to feel bad, because Weeable could probably make up a difference of, maybe at least 100 to 200,000 depending on the circumstances.
Conrad, the first to break for Washington. Kakweezy had broken just before for Texas. Yeah, if you have somebody get like 400k and you lose by 100,000, Weeable probably would have gotten at least 500,000-600,000 to make that closer, if not win it outright. There's Jacob with the next break, but Raul's going to follow up as well. So it's Abraham versus Warpscon. Both teams on 1 FC. But combo lead Kakweezy to, 200 combo almost.
Conrad with that miss. We'll see what Abraham's able to do here. His accuracy is holding up as well, but so is Warpscon. So they have a DT player or a speed player that is at least able to hold something down for Washington. So they are not out of this yet. It's really just the difference of Kakweezy on Conrad right now, which is not a whole lot, but it's enough. The accuracy is actually putting in more work than the combo.
Yeah, this is really just the Abraham FC, it's matching Warpscon. I guess it's Kakweezy is really what it comes down to at that point, because Jacob and Conrad are both a fair distance behind Kakweezy's score. That's just gonna win this for Texas on its own if Abraham holds, and but Jacob and Conrad both break, so does Raul. 300k lead for Texas, so that is not comebackable at this point. So
yeah, Abraham would have to miss right about now.
Yeah,
in order for
they're over it. He's over 850k, so it's late enough that it doesn't matter at this point.
Only 2 million potential score left with a double S, and Abraham is just not going to break. The ending is not a super difficult section here if you've hit the beginning and the middle. So Abraham is just doing what he does. Warpscon really doing a good job of holding him off, but the supporting players on Washington just not as strong as Texas. But granted, I don't think that's anything that most of us are really surprised about. Washington's a good team, but Texas's mechanics are just far, far superior on a map like this, and they're going to get their point.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly like you said, though, Jacob coming in and putting in 343k, you've got to figure Warpscon, Weeable, if Warpscon can FC that and Kakweezy can put up 658k, you've got to figure that Weeable would have been able to at least match Kakweezy, which would have basically made it a dead even map. So, feeling the absence, unfortunately, of their skill cap player, our team Washington, going to have to do the best they can without him.
Yeah, again, I think that's really why Washington's going to have to pick into the gimmick skill set so heavily today. It's almost like what we've talked about with teams like Connecticut in the past, few weeks, where they have players like Leftovers and Ryunata who can carry maps, but they also definitely have their weak points. And, Verterix and Conrad, in a very similar fashion, very clearly have a weakness in fast, stamina-intensive picks. So when you're missing one of your players who is quite possibly going to put up your highest possible score on those mechanics-type maps, it's a big hit, and it really locks you into certain picks. And luckily, Washington does a very, very good job of picking into their strengths against a team like Texas, because not only do they know what they're good at, they know what Texas maybe falls short on a little bit. So they're going to go with the Nomad 3 because they know they have players that can play this map. Slightly more contested, though. I do think this is a little bit dangerous to pick into someone like 999 Wins. But, anything can happen on a Nomad 3. This is semifinals. The maps are getting hard enough. It's not just, an FC battle between players.
Yeah, we saw what happened last week on the Nomad 3. People did not have a good time. That map was very difficult.
And it was kind of just, I believe it was Verda putting out the top score of like 540k or something like that. You know, and this week is not any easier in this slot. So we'll really be in for one here. I think this is another one of those incredibly long Nomad 3s as well. It's a consistency alt pick at 4 minutes and 17 seconds. So you've really got to be steady with your tapping and that alternating aim style. It's going to be a tough one. This map is not simple by any means.
Not at all. Again, you know, difficult map, unconventional for a Nomad 3 a little bit. You know, you see like general flow aim or a snap aim, and I think this kind of combines them just a little bit. Not too many spikes actually in this map, and you know, I think that's a trend that you do tend to see on Nomad 3s a lot of the time when you get to later stages. It's very difficult to pick a map that is perfectly balanced across the entire scope of its length, because you always have a couple of those sections where the aim gets really big or it gets a little bit faster, you know, the density increases, decreases. This map does a really good job of kind of keeping it consistent across the entire thing. So, you know, a consistency battle between these two teams on an alt map could favor Washington a decent bit if they're playing the way that they have been on their picks here.
Yeah, it definitely felt on their first two picks that they were a little more consistent on those skill sets, especially Conrad, who really put in work on both of those maps. So we'll have to see what he can do on this one. I think he had a little bit of a rough go of things on the alt map last week, but it's going to be Verda and Warpscon finding the early break. So both of them missing in the first 200 combo. Texas with a small lead to start things off here. This is about the only kind of free combo you find in most of this map, though it really ramps up quickly. There goes Warpscon again, but Raul finds a chain miss. Interesting.
Warpscon was their best player on the 10.3 DT, the only FC, so you do have to wonder if he really is just in for the skill cap on Washington and not necessarily the skill sets just don't match up, it looks like.
Yeah, he's having a very rough time on this pick. Cuckweezy and Wins both holding the FCs down for Texas, so they're going to take already about a 50,000 point lead, and we're only a quarter of the way into a 4-minute long map, so that's actually bigger than you'd realize at a glance.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those maps where you need Verda and Conrad to both perform, and Verderix with the early break isn't going to do them any favors, but he is realistically only about 140 to 150 combo behind, which is not insurmountable, but you know, when Texas only has a singular break, that does make a massive difference. Warpscon is just not super comfortable, even though they are maintaining the accuracy to match up wins.
Yeah, this is gonna... Oh, okay, there's big breaks from Raul and Cuckweezy. That was quite a few notes there missed by Raul. Drops some accuracy, and Cuckweezy loses out on the combo right before halfway through as well, so that's a big bonus for Washington. Let's see what kind of combo they can hold on to through this section. Verderix does break going into the slider stream, but they do have Conrad and Warpscon still, so Conrad matching wins. Warpscon had some combo, not anymore. This is just going to stay this close as Cuckweezy finds a break. Basically, almost exactly even combo. The accuracy, all that Washington has in their favor, which will be enough to take the lead, though.
It's actually a big thing for Washington right now that Conrad has their highest accuracy and is their only FC right now. I did mention before they started this map, this is dangerous to pick into wins, you know, especially on these really consistent Nomad 3s where there's not too many of those difficulty spikes. Wins is just really good at these kind of flow aim to snap jump alt maps. It's like his skill set. So picking this into a team like that, it's dangerous, but you know, if you know there's a player like Conrad on your team that is able to put up a combo like this, it's definitely worth it. He's got the support from Verderix right now, and Warpscon has recovered beautifully from a little bit of a blunder at the beginning of a map, but Texas is building up some combo here. Raul's having a slight bit of trouble, but Cuckweezy's holding.
Yeah, it's Verderix with the 100 combo lead over Cuckweezy, and Warpscon just holding his combo while Raul is continuously missing. There goes Wins. That was the 1 FC for Texas gone. Conrad held through that slider stream. Verderix did break as well, but if Conrad holds the FC, that's all Washington needs. He's shaking so badly through these sections.
He's
Is there a break in the song?
though.
Oh, he missed the triangle jump, but it's a... Wait, Wins did
Wins
not
was
break.
Bancho.
Wins was a slider stream, I bet, wasn't it? So that was
This
a
is
Bancho miss.
Texas's,
So that means
yeah.
Wins now can just roll. I hate Bancho so much, but
Yeah.
that's just what Texas needed, was Conrad missing on that triangle right before the break. He can bring this home now, can Mr. Wins over there.
Wins he's starting to shake a little bit now, but he held his nerve better in the big aim section of that map right there, and he's even going to hit that ending space stream with the shakes. His cursor's like vibrating right now.
Well, he has done plenty. Wins is just going to win this for Texas, man. What a performer. FC coming home. Let's see. Will he just hit this last space bar? Oh, he missed the entire thing.
Yeah, the shakes were just not allowing. Yep.
That space stream is so rough when you're shaking like that. It's okay though, buddy. You put up 860K almost. You put up the score you needed. 200K win for Texas. Our first break point of the match, and that comes at a good time for the Texans as they take that 3-2, able to go up 4-2 if they can win this pick.
Absolutely beautiful performance from Wins to get Texas the break point on the Nomad 3. Conrad did absolutely everything he possibly could, and it didn't really help, unfortunately, that Verderix and Warpscon were both outscored by Raul and Cuckweezy. Texas was just slightly better on that pick as a whole. And I'll say it for a third time, I guess. It's a dangerous pick when you're Washington. You're picking into Wins, who is a extremely strong Nomad 3 player, and Cuckweezy, who has a great skill cap. Raul is a good gimmick player, so you are really banking on your overall team performance if you're Washington there. And Verderix with a couple of really early breaks. Conrad, unfortunately, his shakes getting the better of him just a little bit earlier than Wins, and Warpscon not quite as comfortable as everyone else on that map. They're just not fitting into his skill set super, heavily. And, everything really was just contributing to Washington not being able to take their own pick there. And they're going to start to fall behind a little bit now if Texas is able to take their own pick here.
And Texas has a lot available to them as well, depending on what kind of skill set they want to continue forward with. They've got Nomad 5 if they like kind of the higher BPM, as well as, DT3 if you want to go into that kind of tapping focus double time. DT2 as well, which is pretty high BPM. I gotta think it's probably one of those three maps, but taking their time, so we can't be 100% sure as of yet. It's gonna be Hard Rock 2 instead. So we're gonna get our first Hard Rock pick here. It's gonna be Moonheart, which is the very tech Hard Rock pick.
Yeah, I kind of get this, but I also don't. Like, I get the fact that Texas is really good at, this precision type of, aimy tech Hard Rock. Like, this is fairly aim-based, even though it's a tech-oriented Hard Rock at 6.5, but you're picking 6.5 into, Conrad, who is really good at 6.5. So I feel like this could kind of go the way that the Nomad 3 did, almost, where this is a one player can carry this situation. This map, mind you, is a decent bit more difficult than the Nomad 3. All things considered, whether or not you're a Hard Rock player or not, this map is hard. And I guess you're just maybe pinning on the overall team performance from Texas right now?
Yeah, I think much like on Nomad 3, you just want the team diff kind of moment here, where Texas was just better across the board than was Washington. Like you said, yeah, you're picking it into Conrad Mitten, but oh, hey, Emma McKeon just set an Olympic record in the women's 50 free.
Hey.
Yes, you're picking it to Conrad Mitten, but you're also picking it for your team. And Abraham, obviously good at this. Cuckweezy are real good at this. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this pick objectively. But yeah, I mean, it's always that risk, especially on tech, which is typically pretty volatile in terms of performance. So.
Absolutely.
Verderix over-aiming, 6.5, maybe not being quite friendly to him. Cuckweezy with a couple early breaks as well as Warpscon, but Raul Abraham are chilling. Like you said, Conrad, player that we're going to watch for Washington, as Abraham does find a slider break, so it's 1-on-1, Raul versus Conrad. 70k lead for Texas, though. Not going to feel too bad.
This is definitely one of those maps where, you really do need to kind of settle into the skill set here, and it looks like Raul is going to settle in the fastest out of everybody with Conrad finding a break, but, 6.5, even if you're comfortable on it, there is still that little bit of uncertainty when you go into it. It's very hard to, even playing 6.5 to warm up for a match, you're still not like fully ready for it. Raul finally breaks for Texas, and so does Cuckweezy to kind of even it out. But not everyone is just getting the aim in check quite yet.
Yeah, when you go from some kind of larger circle size, or at least normal circle size stuff like we have been playing, straight into 6.5, it's a tough ask for a lot of these players, and you see just breaks and very low accuracy across the board for many players as well. Roll at 93, Verdict's at 88, Warpscon 94, as well as Conrad. I mean, it just all builds there for Texas with a huge accuracy lead, and Abraham, as expected, I think the most comfortable, 98.7 AC and the best combo on the board.
Well, Conrad is going to try to do whatever he can right now, but Abraham is matching him, even besting the score with the accuracy, and Washington doesn't have much of support right now. There is another Ki before the ending here. There is a possibility if all of Washington holds, or at least two of them hold, and everyone breaks on Texas, that this could come back. Warpscon finds a break. They need something from Texas now, and it has to be Abraham.
Yeah, it would have to be...
Cuckweezy?
It basically has to be all three, I think, at this point. With it being a 300k lead, this is really tough to try and make any kind of run at. If Raul and Abraham both had broken at the same time Cuckweezy did, maybe there would be a chance, but the lead, I think, at this point is just too big, and Raul and Abraham are looking pretty comfy now in this last Ki. There goes Verda as well. That's going to do it for sure.
Yeah. Abraham's accuracy. Raul does find a break, but Abraham is the one that they really needed to break before Cuckweezy and Raul, and with Verda and Warpscon not really able to put up a substantial combo as well, it's Conrad Minton versus Abraham, and Conrad just unfortunately doesn't have the accuracy to make anything happen, nor the combo with just the slider breaks for both of them.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I mean, 440k, but like it was really never in doubt at all for Texas on that one. 98.83 AC, by the way, really, really impressive from Abraham. 2% higher than the next best in the lobby.
Yeah, so very good performance from Abraham on that map. And you kind of mentioned it before that this is, it's dangerous picking into Washington because they have that single player carry performance. And I mean, we saw it from Conrad. He was ready to carry that map. The one slider break, unfortunately, 700k, a very good score, but Texas just picking into their team's strong suits right there. I mean, Raul being confident on that was something that Washington could just not have prepared for unless they had a second player that was able to put up a very, very substantial score.
Yeah. That was the kind of concern coming into this match. Was Washington was always going to have a hard time with a third player for a lot of these picks, so that depth just not quite there to the same level. And now they're in a little bit of a hole. 4-2 down, and their first couple picks went really well for them, but they've got to figure out what of the remaining maps is going to feel that same level of confident, and I don't know what that answer to that question even is. Maybe like I guess you could go like a Nomad 4, but even then, hard to feel confident in something that probably is a little bit RNG for them.
Yeah, and that being Texas's pick as well, I think they very full well knew what they were capable of on that map, and I think they're Kanyu being a very good captain and a very experienced, kind of knows Washington's strong suits and weak points quite a bit. Washington's gonna pick Nomad 5. Nomad 5.
Don't know. Well, so I guess the thing with this is, first of all, it brings Jacob 3 back in, and it's a good Warpscon map, and Conrad will do well in it also. But I think with this being a little bit more of a tech Nomad 5 compared to some that are just raw speed, Washington maybe feels like they have a better chance on it, but this is a tough ask, I think, for them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there was ever a Nomad 5 to pick, it is the week that the Nomad 5 is Rego, because like you mentioned, it is a little bit more tech heavy. There's some finger control with the aim involved here as well. It's not just pure stamina like you can see in certain weeks, even like last week where it's very, very left-hand heavy, even with the aim that exists in it. But yeah, Jacob 3 could perform very well on this map, and of course Warpscon, with the FC on DT1, which does sit at 264 BPM. This is 30 lower. So, I mean, Washington has a roster for this, and I guess, again, I think it's another thing that just comes down to the consistency. Can Washington maintain that, you know, 3-man score that I think they're going to have to put up in order to best Texas on this? I guess
I think it's a tough ask, but it's like feasible, I guess. I don't know.
Surely they think that they can, given that they did pick the map into a Texas team who has looked very, very good on mechanics today, might I add. Like, it would be very much one thing if Texas wasn't super strong on the mechanics today and they were finding little breaks here and there. But, you know, with Abraham performing very well across the board today, Raul has had a good match and wins, and, you know, players like that with FCs on the Nomad 3. Texas is feeling good today, so Washington, you know, hopefully has just weighed all the benefits and the drawbacks of picking something mechanics-oriented into Texas here.
We're going to see if the pick pays off. This is basically a must-win here for Washington, I think. If you go down 5-2, I mean, it just feels kind of doomed at that point.
Yeah.
Texas has looked really strong on all their own picks, and they're looking pretty strong on the start of this as well, taking a small early lead. And I'm going to have to pay attention to this because the 4x100 medley relay is about to start. And I love the 4x100 mixed medley relay. It's so much fun to watch. So I'm kind of looking like in between my two monitors here. But combo advantage going over to Washington as Jacob and Conrad hold on while Abraham finds a break. So this is going to stay in the favor of Washington for the moment. But a decent amount of maps still to come, only just shy of halfway through.
Yeah, there goes Raul as well. Warpscon does trade it out, but you know, Texas needs to see the break from Jacob or Conrad here, and the score is going to be ridiculously close between these two teams, given Jacob's accuracy is really going for the combo right now.
Oh, he missed the end of that stream, did Jacob, but so did Raul.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be Conrad versus No Bully right now. No Bully's got a little bit of an accuracy lead, but not too much. He needs to see a break from Abraham.
It's going to feel all right for now for Washington, but if Conrad or Warpscon breaks, it's going to open the door. There's still a third of the map to go.
Big triple section right here with a lot of aim. There goes No Bully. That's what Washington needed. Jacob trades it, but it doesn't matter quite as much.
No, the Jacob miss is fine. Conrad and Warpscon are the ones that Texas needs to see break. And there goes Abraham as well as Conrad. I think that ends it because Warpscon holds.
Yeah. If he holds through this last stream section right here, I just don't think there's anything that Raul can do. The accuracy is well in the favor of Warpscon as well as the combo, and there's just not enough note density after these triples right here, especially with the double break from Texas.
Yeah, Warpscon has got plenty of score. That was well done. So Texas, Washington, the fairly speedy pick does end up paying off, but like we said, you know, it was a lot into the finger control, a lot into the tech aspects of it, so did play into their strength just a bit more. And that'll keep him alive at the 4-3.
Good performance from Team Washington on that. Yeah, neither team actually super comfortable on that, and I think it's something we mentioned last week as well, the difference between some of the losers bracket versus, you know, maybe what we can see in the winners bracket, which is just how comfortable the teams are on certain maps like this. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see when the winners bracket matches do roll around on Sunday, like the difference in performance, because it can vary by week, but you know, 500Ks on a map like Jronir is a very good performance, and it's a good score, putting that half up. So still some strong performances from both teams here, and Washington taking a map like Nomad 5 from Texas definitely starts to limit what Texas is able to go for here, because it does kind of leave it in the back of their minds. You know, Washington is not bad at these faster tech-style maps here, so you know, they can hold their own across the board a little bit more than previously known, and which does mean that Washington may be able to open up something like DT4.
We're gonna see. Okay, US is in the most distant. Like, US is off the screen.
Yeah, that's so bad.
They're off the screen. It's just they're literally. Oh my, that's so tragic. I don't know what's happening here. UK is just too strong.
Well, we're just bad.
I would have thought we would have been better at this event. I don't know.
don't know who
The
our
only-
4 is.
The only good swimmer we had in this for this was, I guess, Caleb Dressel. And it's just, there's just no chance when you're as far behind coming into the anchor leg.
Yeah, he can make up distance, but not that much.
I mean, he did get back into, like, competitive,
Not
but
last.
yeah, they got not last. Poggers. Great Britain sets a world record. Good job.
Wow.
China coming in second. Oh, we're getting Nomad 1. So, the mechanics. The mechanics will happen. We get in a little aim.
Aim time. This pick
Bro-
definitely makes sense.
Raul saying, sorry we are running out of picks. That's a little
Look
concerning.
pretty good still. Look pretty good though. I don't know. I mean, Nomad 1 is not a horrible pick for Texas. I mean, Cuckweezy's a good aim player. Wins is very good at aim. Wins was kind of known as like an aim player for those who haven't heard too much about Wins. You know, winning Happy Stick Summer Tour years ago and setting FCs on maps like Red Like Roses years ago. When most people, there's still only, what, 4 or 5 FCs on the map in total. Very good aim player. So Texas is, you know, they're still picking into their strong suits, and there's definitely nothing surprising about this, I guess, but, you know, to each their own to what they think is going to happen in this match here. Washington is certainly strong on aim as well. Verda and Conrad are both very good, and, you know, Dolpshing I know a little bit less about in terms of a Nomad 1 performance, but you know, putting them in over, you know, someone like Warpscon, who has played most maps thus far, must mean that they have some semblance of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple of kind of fill slots on their roster this year, which they needed to shore up, you know, their kind of mechanics with. So you've got to figure that, you know, out of Dolpshing, Jacob, and Warpscon, like, they've got the speed and they probably have the aim as well. So anticipating Dolpshing to do pretty well. We have not seen, generally speaking, a lot of Nomad 1 picks over the course of this tournament. It feels like it's been one of the least picked slots. So this is that rare opportunity we get to see how the players are going to feel on something that is a big raw aim pick.
Well, we'll see how they all hold up. This is...
It's a decently long one. This is about 3 minutes 48 seconds.
209 BPM, so it's like slightly higher than the average Nomad 1, I would say. Not a lot, though.
Not too bad, yeah. 209 BPM pushes it to the upper limit, I think. You don't really often see tournaments going above that, maybe 210 BPM point on a Nomad 1, except for, like, the rare exception. 200 BPM is generally the cap. But, you know, if it balances with the rest, I think it's all right. 209 BPM is certainly not out of the question, but I think it does favor Texas just a little bit having it be higher BPM.
Yeah, and it's favoring Texas that Dolpshing is having a lot of trouble in the early stages here. That's a little concerning. There's a break from Verderix as well, so already down to just 1 FC for Washington. Meanwhile, Cuckweezy wins, as expected. I think very solid mechanics players holding just fine for themselves to this intro and first verse.
Well, you gotta be careful. I mean,
This section is
slider break.
I see that section is surprisingly tricky. Some finger control required there. Catches out Dolpshing as well. There goes Cuckweezy. So combo advantage, in fact, does go to Washington by a small margin, as Conrad continuing to be like just the anchor player on that team, really holding his own.
The shakes are getting the better of him just a little bit, though. The aim is starting to look slightly less confident. He's already shaking.
And there goes Verderix again. So it's Raul versus Conrad. Conrad, man,
Yeah,
it is
the shakes.
shocking to me that he's shaking that badly at 600 combo, not even halfway through the map. Like, that's really not good. Excuse me. Not good this early on in a map like this.
I think that Conrad is, unfortunately, after the history of this match, been put under the impression that in order for Washington to win a lot of these picks, he has to either FC or come close to FCing. You know, especially when you're almost at match point against Texas in this match. The pressure is so high on someone like Conrad right now. I think it's almost impossible not to shake unless you have nerves of steel in this situation. Being a carry player in a semifinals losers bracket match is not some place that you want to be. if you can't perfectly hold your cursor under a pressure situation. So, you know, absolutely Conrad is going to put up a good performance on this, and Raul does finally find a break, which does give Washington an avenue slightly back in, with Verda holding the combo through that.
Boy, shades of last year's losers bracket match, Washington versus Michigan. Verderic's No Mod 1 player coming in clutch, maybe, if he can hold for... He's got to hold basically the rest of the way through, because it is still 160k lead for Texas, but he has shown that he's capable of it. His aim is quite solid, and he's the only one with a big combo. He just needs a little bit of help from his teammates and maybe a tad bit of assistance from Texas misses. But that gap might start to close a bit as we come into the last quarter. I just don't know if it's going to close enough or fast enough.
There's a decent amount of note density here. I do agree that I think they need to see some break from Texas here. I don't think it has to be multiple. I think it has to be someone, though. And if Texas doesn't... Yeah, there's just a little bit of an under-aim. He left that slider too early, and he under-aimed the circle after.
Well, poor Verda did everything he could there, but just that little break. Texas going to bring home several solid combos into this ending as well. Very good ack on Kakweezy as an aside. 99, well, had 99.3 coming late, but just a slightly better performance across the board from Texas on all three members. You know, Conrad Verda did what they could, but it was not quite enough. Not quite enough score.
Yeah, it's just a little bit down there. Dolpshing, you know, again, we mentioned coming in for this map is an interesting position, you know, switching out Warpscon, a player who has, you know, been Washington's third for quite a few maps, and switching him out for a mechanics pick after performing so well on a pick like the DT1, and even second scoring with a singular miss on a map like Jronier. You do slightly question the Dolpshing, you know, substitution for an aim map. With 12 misses, that is, you know, to not make it sound rude or anything, exceedingly uncomfortable for a semifinals No Mod 1, even with the streams that exist on this map. So, you know, Washington, I'm sure they put in their best roster there, but Texas is just far better as a 3 on that map. Kakweezy putting up the 99% act play as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 7-star No Mod 1. I guess it's like 6.91 stars now that the star rating has been recalculated, but yeah, you would expect like players in an open rank to be able to put up maybe a slightly better score than that, especially if they're actually in for the map. As we said, though, you know, maybe that was a third player syndrome. He was like the best of the rest kind of situation with Weeablegon. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You don't want to rag on the guy too much. It's just an unfortunate spot to be in, but Texas now has 1 point to the finish line, and Washington going into DT3 is an interesting, I think, decision from them.
You know, I can't say that this is the worst pick they could have gone for, and I think you know, you mentioned before that being solid at the speed of something like No Mod 5 does open up certain picks like Resurrected Replayer here. I did think that DT4 was maybe something that was going to favor Washington just a little bit more with the older style DT and the way that that map is kind of laid out, especially with the fact that Texas apparently hasn't practiced the pool or practiced it very much. The sliders in that map with the velocity of them and the slider ticks could probably catch them off guard. But I guess if you're Washington and you think that you're really good on, you know, these finger control style DT maps compared to Texas, it's not a bad pick at all. Conrad has been putting up some very good scores and is certainly fast enough and has the finger control to compete on this, and Warpscon looked really good on the DT earlier. And, you know, I think Washington getting Jacob in for another pick is something that is going to benefit them very heavily as well. You know, normally you'd maybe want to keep Verderix in, but you know, he's had a couple of breaks here and there that are maybe a little bit less characteristic of his normal performance, so Washington gonna maybe look to put in a different roster on some picks that they're strong at right now. Texas is gonna opt out of putting Wins in for this map and gonna put Raul in instead.
Well, this is do or die for Washington with their last pick here, so gotta hope that both teams have their optimal roster in for this. But this is such a tricky map. The finger control and the speed requirement are both really high for this map. And one big concern I have is we find a first break out of WarpsCon. We talked about the carry performer for Washington has really been Conrad Mitten, but he has found some very bad shakes. And you can shake off these little double patterns and triples like quite easily if your nerves start to build up. So that is a little worrisome, but we do see several early breaks there. Texas losing the FC on both Abraham and Cuckweezy, whereas only WarpsCon is missed for Washington. So you do get to stay in the combo lead, and we'll take a score lead.
Yeah, something I don't think that I actually considered when I was going over the Texas sight read thing was these 1/6 that they like to put in these ZTS maps.
Yeah, if you don't know about those 1/6, you run the risk of under-tapping them pretty easily. Unfortunately, Washington did get the break from Jacob, so it's down to just Conrad versus Raul, which is, oh, that's really not good, as WarpsCon and Jacob trade each find a miss, and Abraham and Cuckweezy both held, so it's almost not even going to matter what Conrad does. It's going to be requiring Abraham and Cuckweezy or Raul to break. Texas is just going to be firmly ensconced in that driver's seat that we so often like to mention.
Well, Conrad hopefully holds the shakes down. He certainly looks a heck of a lot better than he did on that Nomad one with the shakes in the middle of the map, but Raul is perfectly matching Conrad right now, just slightly higher accuracy to give him that score lead. And I'd say within the next 15 to 20 seconds, Washington needs 2 breaks out of Texas if they want to even stay in this.
There's one. That's Abraham gone. Cuckweezy, though, is holding on. That is keeping them in the lead, and Raul matching Conrad. The score is going to be very close, though, about an 80, 90,000 score gap. And, oh, there goes Conrad, and Raul holds on. And there they go. It's over.
Yeah, Washington.
Raul does find a break, but there's just not going to be the time left now. It's a 150,000 lead, and there's no combo on Washington's side at all.
Yeah, Washington needed at least one combo to try and make some sort of a comeback there, and unfortunately, WarpsCon and Jacob just having a little bit too much trouble with the doubles and then the 1/6 bursts on this map. Conrad, once again, doing absolutely everything that you possibly could ever ask of him, but the note density here at the ending is just not enough for Washington, even with Cuckweezy finding continuous breaks. And that is it. Washington is going to be eliminated from the tournament in the semifinals, or losers bracket round 1 there, and Texas will be advancing to their second potential match. Well played.
Yeah, that was just Texas having the mechanics advantage. I mean, it was the type of, you saw Washington just kind of running out of picks that they were favored on, and Texas used the ability to have slightly better mechanics. And I feel like this is this is kind of unfortunately where Washington feels like they get a little hard stuck, is that kind of top 12-ish, because they run out of the skill cap a lot of times to be able to compete on some of these late round pools, and Texas just took advantage of that, with especially with the missing player from Washington. Not having Weeable there was really rough for them. But good job to Texas. I mean, can't take anything away from him.
Yeah, absolutely not. Texas just with the stronger overall team performance today on the match. Using quite a bit of their skill sets and their roundedness to pick around, not even just basic mechanics picks, but taking a couple break points away from Washington as well. So a good overall performance from Texas as a team today. They worked really well together. They picked smart, and that's exactly what they needed to do against Washington today. Even missing Weeable, we mentioned that. The 2 or 3 that they're able to put up is very strong, and it is strong enough, but not, or strong, but not as strong as they need it to be. Texas advancing to the next round, of course, as we mentioned. Congratulations to them. We will be seeing them once again in their next matchup this weekend, and we'll see if they're able to hold it in this losers bracket run here. In that next matchup, they're going to be facing the winners of NorCal versus Oregon.
Yeah, and that is almost assuredly, in my opinion, going to be NorCal. I don't really see a world where NorCal loses to Oregon. And from what we saw tonight, Texas could put up a fight against NorCal, but I do think North California is a team that's favored basically the rest of the way through, until like the potential matches of next week. So like 3 matches down the line when they're going to face off against, I think it's the loser of Florida and South California. Like that's, I think we probably are going to see NorCal versus Texas and NorCal winning that, but we'll find out.
Texas, though, I mean, if they can put together some good scores and they get a little bit of an underperformance out of their opponent, that's a winnable match for them. But I do believe, from what I have heard, they may end up missing Abraham on Sunday for that potential match. So that is going to be very, very rough for them if that does end up being the case.
That is a big uh-oh for Texas, given that Abraham was one of their top performing players today. But of course, we'll see. They had the good team performance, as we mentioned. So the singular player is certainly going to leave a big void in their roster, but not all but lost. Of course, that's the only match that we have tonight. And the next match will be Carolina versus New York tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we should have, I think, a couple of very solid matches. We are going to have New York versus Carolina, as mentioned. That one's at 1 p.m. Excuse me, 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be followed by NorCal versus Oregon at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then Ohio versus Michigan, currently planned for 7 p.m. Eastern time. I know there's some weird shit going on with them talking about rescheduling, but we're awfully late into things for that to be rescheduled. So I don't know if that's going to end up happening. And then, of course, both the winners bracket matches are going to end up being on Sundays. We've got Virginia versus Massachusetts, 4 p.m. Sunday. Florida versus SoCal, 6 p.m. Sunday. Definitely don't want to miss those because those are both going to be incredibly good matchups. But, yeah, that is, as you said, that's going to be it for tonight. So, congratulations to Texas. Thank you guys for being here. And we will see you tomorrow for the next couple of matches here in Losers Bracket. We're whittling things down. 12 teams come into this weekend, and half that will escape it. So stick around to find out who those teams end up being. We will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night.